$50. What can you get for $50? Maybe a tank of gas, dinner for two at a cheap restaurant, maybe a new pair of shoes if you find a good sale. For Sarah, a 32-year-old middle school art teacher, $50 was her last attempt to feel something. Anything. It was the only money she could justify spending on herself, and it turned into $5 million. That's not a typo. $50 became $5 million. But this isn't a lottery story. This isn't an inheritance story. This is the story of a woman who was drowning in $70,000 of student loan debt, drowning in a $3,000 a month salary that barely covered her rent, drowning in the exhaustion of grading papers and managing 13-year-olds 5 days a week. This is the story of how she found a hidden opportunity, a secret digital gold mine, right inside a website millions of people scroll through every single day. And the most important part, Sarah wasn't special. She had no business degree. She had no connections. She had no idea what she was doing. She just saw one tiny overlooked opportunity and she took it. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about her, it's about you. It's about the potential hiding in your own hobbies right now. 3 years ago, Sarah's life was a loop. Her alarm went off at 6 a.m. The smell of stale coffee filled her tiny, overpriced apartment. She'd get in her 10-year-old car, sit in traffic for 45 minutes, and walk into a building that smelled like floor wax and anxiety. She was a good teacher. She cared about the kids, but her passion was gone, replaced by burnout. Her bank account was a constant source of panic. The $70,000 debt from her master's degree felt like a concrete block chained to her ankle. Her salary was $3,000 a month. After rent, utilities, her car payment, and the minimum payment on her loan, she had maybe $400 left over for everything: food, gas, emergencies. She was 32 years old, and she was stuck. She would cry in her car during her 30-minute lunch break, scrolling through Instagram, looking at people living lives she couldn't even imagine. That's when the something must change moment hit. It wasn't a lightning bolt. It was a quiet, desperate whisper. She just wanted an escape. Not a business, not a new career, just a hobby, something creative that was just for her. She loved two things: her rescue dog, Buster, and painting. She'd scroll on Pinterest and see people selling crafts. She'd heard of Etsy. Sell your unique handmade goods, the site said. She thought, maybe I can sell a few paintings, make an extra $200 a month, just enough to breathe. But she had no physical supplies, no canvases, no paint, and she had no money. Then she saw something, a digital download. Someone was selling a printable budget planner. They made it once and sold it thousands of times. No inventory, no shipping, no materials. A light bulb went off. She loved painting her dog. What if she made digital portraits of other people's dogs? She went on eBay. She found a used, scratched graphics tablet for $50. It was all the money she had in her fun budget for the month. She bought it. That $50 purchase was the single greatest investment of her entire life. She spent a weekend learning the software. She took a photo of Buster, her dog, and drew a simple minimalist portrait. She uploaded it to Etsy. She titled it Custom Pet Portrait. She priced it at $25. The listing cost 20 cents. And then nothing for a week. She almost forgot about it. Then, one night, while grading papers, her phone made a sound she'd never heard before. Cha-ching. Someone in Ohio had bought her listing. A total stranger was paying her $25. She was ecstatic. She stayed up until 2 a.m. working on that portrait, making it perfect. She emailed the file. The customer was thrilled. Sarah thought, this is it. This is my gas money. She made 8 sales. That first month, $200. She was right. It was gas money. But that $200 lit a fire. What if she could make $400? She didn't know anything about business, but she knew how to use the internet. She started researching how to sell on Etsy, Etsy SEO, Etsy keywords. And she found the secret. The real gold mine wasn't just the art, it was the niche. Custom pet portrait was too broad. She was competing with thousands of other artists. She had to go deeper. She saw a trend on social media, people getting minimalist one-line tattoos of their pets. She made a new listing, custom minimalist line art pet tattoo design. Cha-ching, cha-ching. She made 5 sales in one day. She saw another trend, people posting funny pictures of their pets in costumes. She made another listing, custom royal pet portrait. She took public domain paintings of kings and queens and digitally painted people's pets' heads onto them. It was silly. It was ridiculous. And it exploded. But the real turning point wasn't on Etsy. It was on Pinterest. Sarah was an art teacher. She understood visual platforms. She knew Etsy's search was limited, but Pinterest was infinite. She took her one royal pet portrait of a golden retriever dressed as Napoleon, and she made 10 different pins for it, 10 different images, all pointing to that one $25 listing. She pinned them, and she went to bed. When she woke up, her phone had 99 plus notifications. One of her pins had been repinned by a massive dog lovers account. That day, she made $1,000. In one day, from her couch, she was making in a single day what it took her a week to make at her real job. The doubt hit her hard. Is this real? Is this a mistake? Will they ask for their money back? The orders kept coming. 5 a day became 50 a day. 50 became 100. Now she had a new problem. She was still a full-time teacher. She was physically, mentally, and emotionally shattered. She was staying up until 3 a.m. every night, painting digital dogs, her eyes burning from the screen. She would fall asleep at her desk during her lunch break. Her apartment was a disaster. Her social life was gone. And for the first time, she started getting bad reviews. Took too long to arrive. Doesn't look like my dog. Seller never responded to my message. She was making more money than she'd ever seen, and she was more miserable than ever. The business was killing her. Her family was skeptical. Her parents said, "This is great, honey, but it's not a career. Don't quit your day job. You have a pension." But Sarah knew this was the moment. This was the pivot. She took her first big profit, $1,000, and she didn't spend it. She didn't put it in savings. She went on Upwork.com and hired a virtual assistant from the Philippines for $5 an hour. It was the scariest decision she'd ever made, giving a stranger access to her tiny business. But it was the decision that turned her hobby into an empire. She trained the VA, Maria, to handle all customer service, every email, every question, every complaint. Suddenly, Sarah had 8 hours of her life back every single day. This one decision, outsourcing before she felt ready, was the key. It freed her from working in the business so she could work on the business. She didn't just have a side hustle anymore. She was a CEO. And what happened next was the key that unlocked the first million. With her time freed up, Sarah didn't just make more art. She built a system. She realized the royal portraits were her bestseller. She stopped selling everything else. She focused. She hired 2 more freelance artists, paying them a flat fee per portrait to make the art for her. Suddenly, she wasn't the artist anymore. She was the art director. Her profit margin on each $25 sale dropped from 95% to 60%, but her volume exploded. She could now accept 1,000 orders a day instead of 50. And then the holidays arrived. The Christmas shopping season. Her store, which was already surging from the Pinterest hack, went nuclear. Her revenue for October had been $8,000. In November, it was $45,000. In the first 2 weeks of December, her store crossed $150,000 in sales. In one single, she was making more in a day than she used to make in a month at her teaching job. The numbers were so big, they didn't feel real. On December 20th, she got an email from her bank, flagging the deposits as suspicious activity. She had to call them and explain that, yes, this money was hers. On January 3rd, she walked into her principal's office and gave her 2 weeks' notice. On January 15th, she logged into her student loan portal. She looked at the balance, $70,000. She clicked Make a Payment. She typed in the full amount, and in one single click, she was free. The momentum was unstoppable. Her store wasn't just a fad, it was a brand. BuzzFeed featured her store in an article, 30 Gifts Your Pet Obsessed Friend Will Actually Love. Her sales doubled. Again, she was featured in Forbes, How This Teacher Built a Seven-Figure Side Hustle from Her Couch. In the first 18 months, her little Etsy shop started with a $50 used tablet, cleared $1.2 million in top-line revenue. So, where is Sarah today? Her business is now valued at over $5 million. She doesn't run it from Etsy anymore. She has her own massive Shopify store. She employs a team of 12 freelance artists and 3 full-time customer service agents. Her life? It's unrecognizable. She sold her old car. She bought a house in cash. She travels not for 2 weeks in the summer, but whenever she wants, for as long as she wants. She spent last month in a villa in Italy, running her entire $5 million empire from a laptop by the pool. She doesn't make the art anymore. She doesn't answer the emails. Her business is 90% automated. The money is life-changing. But the real wealth, it's the time, it's the freedom, it's the fact that she never ever has to set a 6 a.m. alarm again unless she wants to. And she's not done. She now runs a new company teaching other women just like her how to replicate her exact formula. So let's talk about that formula, because this isn't magic, it's a replicable strategy. If you look at what she actually did, it becomes clear she succeeded because she niched down and then niched down again. She didn't sell art. She didn't even sell pet portraits. She sold minimalist line art, pet tattoo designs, and Royal Renaissance pet portraits. She found a hyper-specific, passionate audience and sold them exactly what they wanted. She also understood the power of selling digital, not physical. This was the real secret. She had zero inventory, no shipping costs, no supply chain nightmares, no boxes, no tape, no trips to the post office. Her profit margin was almost perfect. She built it once and sold it forever. Finally, she made the critical move to outsource before she felt ready. That $5 an hour virtual assistant was the best investment she ever made. She knew that her time was her most valuable asset. She had to buy back her time so she could use it to grow, not just to maintain. Sarah had no business degree. She had no venture capital. She had $70,000 in debt and a $50 idea. She is not a genius. She is not a lucky person. She simply saw what everyone else missed. She saw a need and she filled it. If she could do that from her tiny apartment while drowning in debt and working a job she hated, what's stopping you? What silly hobby do you have right now? What little passion do you have that you just assume nobody would ever pay for? That idea in the back of your head, that is the opportunity. The only difference between you and Sarah, the only thing that separates a $50 hobby from a $5 million empire, is that first 20-cent listing. The opportunity is everywhere. You just have to be willing to see it. What's your $50 idea? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're ready to hear more stories of incredible wealth built from nothing, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. Next week, you won't believe how this waitress overheard a single conversation at dinner and turned it into a $2 million tech company. You don't want to miss it.